Welcome back to 67's Hockey on Rogers TV. We're in the first intermission of today's game between Ottawa and Peterborough. And as it is International Women's Day, we wanted to make sure to highlight some of the women working with the Ottawa 67. So I'm joined today by head athletic therapist Mackenzie Kopp. Mackenzie, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to start with, how did you get started with the Ottawa 67s, and how long have you been with the organization?
Yeah, I started last October, so it would have been October 2023, so it's been about a year and a half now.
Is there anything that drew you to hockey specifically?
Yeah, I grew up playing competitive ringette, and I also played hockey for 15 years. So the rink always felt like a second home to me, so working in hockey just feels like the perfect fit.
I feel like there's a lot of people who get involved for exactly those reasons. Now, for those that don't know, what does the day in the life of a head athletic therapist look like?
Yeah, it definitely depends on the day. Obviously, game day is very different from a practice day, but just to give you a quick run through of a practice day, usually in the morning, that's when I come in before the team, usually about an hour before the team arrives. That's when I do my prep work. So if I have any injured players, that's when I plan their program for what they'll be doing with me that day. And then when the players arrive, they have a team meeting, and then after the meeting, I run the off-ice warm-up. And then once the players get going on the ice, or before that actually, there's usually players who will need something taped or want something worked on, so I'm available for that. And then once the players get on the ice, then that's when I work with the rehabbing players. So they do a strength and conditioning program, a bit of cardio, and then treatment. And then if that gets wrapped up, then we'll watch the rest of practice. And then after practice, I'm available again if anybody who is on the ice needs anything or if anything came up. And then once the players leave, I do all the boring administrative stuff like all my charting.
Busy day for sure, though. Hockey players, a little bit notorious at times for their injuries. I'm wondering if you can give me any tips for players at younger levels or at older levels. How can they maintain their bodies in ways to avoid some of those injuries?
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do, but some of the most important things, actually two of the most important things I would say is one, strength and conditioning. So building strength actually strengthens your joints, your ligaments, and helps you prevent injury. And then one of the other things is sleep. Sleep is super important for recovery, so getting a good night's sleep is definitely also helpful for preventing injuries.
As we mentioned, today is International Women's Day, and I want to ask, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a really important day. It's actually something kind of ironically that hasn't really been on my radar, or wasn't on my radar until I started working in men's sports. I actually had a coworker a couple of years ago bring donuts in for myself and a couple other female coworkers on this day. And at first I was kind of like, oh, it's just another day. And then I realized actually it's really important, and I really appreciate that he took the time to acknowledge us. And I think it's awesome that we have a day to remind people to acknowledge the wonderful woman in their life.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. Mackenzie obviously means a lot, and yeah, I hope the rest of the season goes well for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, we're going to go to break now, but when we come back, we'll have first period highlights between Ottawa and Peterborough. You're watching 67's Hockey on Rogers TV.